Hello there, my darling dragon friends. Welcome. My name is Ariel. I am the Sassy Dragon, and today we are going to be talking about smelling and reviewing one of the most famous, well-known, best-selling perfumes really of the last 20 years, and that is dun 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 dun, Viktor Rolf's original Flowerbomb Eau de Parfum. This one is very iconic. I think a lot of people at this point are even sick of it. It ends up on a lot of fragrance lists that talk about how people are bored of it, they don't like it anymore, all of that kind of stuff. And I think it's simply because it's like a song that they play again and again on the radio. You might love it at first, and then you hear it so many times, you're like, just make it stop. So I think Flowerbomb has suffered from that a little bit, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it got huge for a reason. It smells really freaking good. So let's go ahead and get a spray on this one, and we are going to talk about Flowerbomb. I wore Flowerbomb, I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago, and I wore it very solidly for about a year. It was like my signature scent. The beautiful thing about Flowerbomb that is always going to pull me in with a perfume is the tea note. It has a wonderful green tea scent. It has a little bit of bergamot in the top, which makes it kind of sparkly. And I am absolutely in love with anything that puts tea in the mix. So that's a big one. This was released in 2005, y'all. So this one is almost 20 years old. It was created by some really great perfumers. Olivier Polge, who created a number of fragrances for Chanel, amongst many others. One of my favorites from him is the Coco Chanel Mademoiselle Intense. That's absolutely like one of my favorite Chanel perfumes. We also have Dominique Ropion. Funny enough, he created another huge kind of sweet floral gourmand that came out around a little bit later, I believe, was Lancome's La Vie est Belle. He also has done a number of fragrances, worked on Givenchy, including one of my very favorites of all time, very irresistible, both the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum. I love both of those. We also have Carlos Benem, very, very big in perfume. We also have Domitil, Michelin Berthier, and all four of them came together to create Flowerbomb. Some of them had all worked together before. The three guys, Olivier, Carlos, and Dominique, all worked on Pure Poison for Dior. I thought that was just a funny thing. Like, some of them worked together on specific fragrances together. So they've worked together before. On this, the top notes, we love the notes on this one. Definitely the tea. We're getting that wonderful tea note, and we have bergamot in the top with osmanthus. This to me gives it a little bit fresher feeling. It keeps it from being too syrupy because it definitely has that gourmand undertone because it does have a very hefty dose of vanilla in there. The middle notes are a very smoothly blended floral, in my opinion. It's orchid, jasmine, rose, freesia, and African orange flower. Doesn't tell us what kind of rose this is, but to me it's a very soft one. It's almost juicy, which I absolutely love, and it really does show the influence of Dominique Ropion because he really likes those juicy roses. Givenchy uses those a lot in their rose perfumes, and it really, for me, in the early 2000s, redefined what a rose fragrance could be, because we always kind of, I think, growing up, for me, it was like rose was always kind of that dusty grandma sort of scent, right? And it never felt fresh or modern, or something that I really would want to wear all the time, because it almost conjured up images of those little floral soaps in bathrooms, right? But the rose that he uses, like in the Givenchy fragrances, it's very similar, what I'm getting, to what he's using in this one. Because it's a really, there is a rose in there, but it's a juicy, kind of voluptuous, yummy rose. It's not a dusty rose. It's not a powdery bathroom rose in the base notes. We do have patchouli, musk, and vanilla. Now, I will say, the dude, Oliver Polsch, he loves his patchouli. You know, I don't mind patchouli at all, actually. You know, when it's good, it's good. A lot of people don't like Mademoiselle Intense because it is very patchouli heavy, but he definitely is going to get his patchouli into a fragrance, and I think it works really well here. There is kind of a white musk in the base, and most definitely the vanilla. The vanilla feels like it's more of a top to mid, honestly, to me, than a base. The vanilla seems to be there very strongly and quickly, and it seems to last throughout the duration of the scent. It is really nice. This is, to me, it's a very obvious crowd pleaser. There's a reason for it to be such. I hadn't had a bottle of Flowerbomb in a long time, and I got I got a really good discount with a Sephora gift card, and so I went ahead and I just bought the giant 5-ounce bottle because it's a better deal that way than buying in the small ones. But I had not had this perfume in a while, and I do remember liking it a lot when I had it. But then, of course, I moved on to other things, and the only thing that I would say about Flowerbomb and Viktor and Rolf fragrances in general for me is that they don't wear super, super long and strong, okay? So for me, they are more of a moderate longevity and sillage, which means how far it radiates and how many people can actually smell it on you. It is not one that I can recall getting tons and tons of compliments on, which is interesting because I would say with things like, especially, this one's probably the Givenchy Very Irresistibles. Those probably are my most complimented fragrances of all time. People will always say something about those. I can't even tell you how many people, men and women both, that have wanted me to write that perfume down for them. They're like, what is that? Gotta write it down. I've never really had that same experience with Flowerbomb. Flowerbomb is a little bit more moderate, and that's probably why. It's not nearly as strong. It doesn't project as far. And the other interesting thing about the way it melds with my chemistry is that it almost becomes part of my own scent, which I actually really like because it feels more natural in some ways, you know, after I've been wearing it for a while. And everyone's chemistry is different. Some people might say it wears really loud and strong on them and they get lots of notice and lots of compliments, which is awesome. For some people like me, it wears a little lighter, and I don't mind that because I think it's fun to have perfumes that do different things for different times. And Flowerbomb is something that I like to wear more just for myself because I like the way it smells. It has a nice, balance, and I think that's really why it has been and endured and stayed so popular since its beginning, is because it's just a really well blended fragrance. Not any of the notes make themselves, they don't just sit out in the center while the other ones aren't really there. You can pretty much get all of the different notes in there. And they just balance really well. I mean, the freshness of the tea and the bergamot, the more aromatic, juicy qualities of the rose and the florals, and that nice vanilla dry down that just sort of sweetens the whole deal. It's funny because I would say that Flowerbomb was certainly one of those in the earlier 2000s, that kept sort of, and maybe even helped jumpstart the gourmand trend into what we ended up with, which was like way too many gourmands, and everything turning pink and sweet. But actually, to me, it is not nearly as heavy of a gourmand as some that you would think of. I feel like this one's more in the category of something like Mon Guerlain, where it definitely has the vanilla. It definitely has that sweetness, but it has enough other things that are non-sweet, non-vanillic, non-food-like. So it doesn't really sit as like a straight gourmand for me. It's really truly like a fresh floral gourmand in a way, if you wanted to qualify it. Some people might call it, slightly amber-like or slightly spicy. I'm not getting a whole lot of that from it. Personally, it doesn't feel quite that deep, like heavy. doesn't go to that resinous area to me, but it really is. It is. I mean, there's a reason that it has stuck around. There's a reason it was so huge, and you can definitely tell why. On me, you know, if I'm wearing this and I really want to get noticed and I want to have it be a little bit more obvious, I have to spray it pretty good. I would say, you know, 4 or 5 sprays if I really want people to smell this more, 2 or 3 if I don't. And if I want to refresh it, I'm probably refreshing it every 2 to 3 hours to make it a little stronger. But again, it's a perfect fragrance for me when I just want something that is a little bit more moderate, not so strong. It's more or less a perfume that I can spray it on and go out, and I'm not feel like I'm knocking people over with my perfume, because it just doesn't have that kind of quality. I'm not much of somebody that attributes perfumes to age or season, so I feel like anybody that likes this, anybody that wants to wear it can wear it. Any season you can wear this. It might not wear quite as lengthy in the winter. You know, just because of the cooler weather, you know, the fragrance isn't going to project as strong. So that's the only note that I would make on that. But yeah, it's great. I mean, the bottle itself is just iconic. You know, the grenade shape with the little Viktor and Rolf pin and the, yeah, it's an absolute delight. So yeah, anybody that has used Flowerbomb, let me know in the comments what you think about it. A cool thing that I will say is I don't think as many people are wearing it these days, because that, you know, super huge trend has passed. So in a way I was like, you know what? Let's get a new big bottle of Flowerbomb, because honestly, I haven't smelled this on people, other people, or in stores in such a long time, because I feel like, you know, it's kind of fallen out of trend, and therefore wearing it again make you a little bit more unique, funny enough. Because I can remember walking through like the Nordstrom stores in the early 2000s, you know, right after this had been launched, and I swear the whole store would smell like Flowerbomb. It was just like, oh, because everybody was spraying it left and right. Oh my goodness. So tell me what you think of it, guys. Also, tell me if there's other fragrances you would like to review. I'm always open to suggestion on what to bring here. As always, I am not the end-all be-all, you know, on perfume. I just love perfume. I started doing these reviews about a year or so ago, just because I thought it would be fun to talk about fragrance, and I'm learning a lot as we go along. So if you are like me and you just love, you know, smelling different things, learning about where they come from, and all that kind of good stuff, hang out with me. Thank you so much as always for your views, your time, and I'll be seeing you again soon. Take care.